Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for another Royal LePage Binder Live market update as we take a look at the numbers in Windsor and Essex County for the real estate scene and what's happening, what we're looking for in terms of trends, and what we can expect over the next little bit. And really taking a look back at the last 30 days and what many are calling unprecedented times. And I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Mr. Frank Binder, who is the owner operator of Royal LePage Binder Real Estate. 5 great locations right across Windsor and Essex County. Frank, always good to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining us today.
Always good, Arms. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Oh
Appreciate
my gosh. I mean, we've had a month of ups and further ups, I guess,
it.
and some
and
good
and
news. I
change.
want to.
We'll talk about change too. The changes that are
Oh
coming.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, change on
Definitely.
the way too. But
Yeah.
I know I look forward to these because we get to tap into your insight in the
Yeah.
industry, finding out what's happening and analyzing those numbers that have come out. I know this is something we've got about 7 graphs that we want to go over, some topics we
Yeah.
want to talk about,
Wow.
and first of all, looking at the units sold by price range for the month of March. This is very
Yeah.
interesting to take a look at as well.
Yeah. Just we talked about this last month. Look at the over and under numbers. 507 over 550, 249 under 550. The median technically is 600,000. So I mean, it would be a little bit different if we use the median price of 600,000. But the upper market has been strong, very strong. I don't know what else to say. And basically, what we saw that the highest categories. You had the most houses being sold in the 700 to 749 category, 81 units there, and you had 77 units in the 800 to 900 category, and we've never seen numbers like that. And so that's just indicative of where our averages are moving up a bit. A lot more stuff going on, though, in those particular categories. Very little going on in the lower end. Uh, Not to say that there isn't a lot of first time buyers. There certainly is a lot of first time buyers. But as we continue to move up, that first time buyer is not the 300,000 price range as it used to be. It's into 450, 500,000 these days. So that's kind of where it is. But one thing that's really standing out is the fact that we've sold 95 houses in March for over $1 million. Compare that to previous months of 65 houses being sold in that price bracket. And it kind of tells you that there's a lot of activity in the higher end market, and people are jumping on the bandwagon. They're putting their houses for sale in that market too, and saying, "Hey, maybe this is time to cash in." And they probably are right at this point in time. So then we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little later. But if you bring up the second graph there, I just want to highlight ever so slightly the price ranges. So if you look at your price ranges. I just wanted to draw your attention to the purple graphs and look at where the tips of those are compared to last year. You compare that to the blue, which was 2021, and the purple is this year, and you can see what's been going on those particular things. See how at the lower price, how the previous year is overpowered this year, but look at what happens at the other side of the coin. Is all the purple ones from 600 to 650, 700 and on and up. They're just towering over the other ones, and that's basically it. So you can see the difference in the activity in those particular price ranges, and that just is indicative of how strong that part of the market is, and it's really coming to bear on other items. So if we could just move on to the residential listings, we'll talk about that briefly. One thing that's been really consistent over the last couple of months, by the way, Arms, is that the residential listings has been strong. So you see that we listed 1,051 residential units this year in March compared to 911 last year. We continue to be very strong in that particular market. And it's really, really indicative that we've got a good balance. And what do I mean by that? Well, that's a 15% plus increase for the year, and we started the month with 482 houses already on the market. So when that happens, we've got lots of stock. It's not like other areas have no listings to show at all. They're suffering in trying to come up with listings to show people. And obviously you're going to get multiple offers on properties. What we're finding now is because of the listings, there are fewer multiple offers on properties. Certainly not the double digits in all cases, but there are still multiple offers, so it's still a robust market. But we're finding that because of the listing bank that we've got, we're finding that it is affecting our market, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So if we could just move on to number 4, get a sense of what's happening. Why I wanted to show this graph is strictly because if you look at the ups and downs and you relate it, you'll see how the market goes down almost every January, and it jumps up, and it goes down every January, it jumps up. And it's the same trend is happening, of course, now. But look at the difference between last January and this January. It didn't go down quite as far, because basically what happens is that we had a good listings, good amount of listings. So when we have active listings, you don't have that major drop like you saw back in 2021. And that's basically why I'm showing this graph. It's the only reason I'm showing the graph. It just indicates how our market goes during the course of the year. And, you look at where the peaks are way back in 2019. There were even more houses being sold at that point in time. And now we're getting to the point where we're getting more listings to sell. And that's going to be probably more indicative of what this market's going to be like. We'll probably replicate the 2019 market.
I mean, you've said this for the years we've been doing this, Frank. I mean, this is really the nature of the beast, right? This is the nature of the business. This is the ebbs and flows of real estate. And it's interesting to see it's sort of this wave pattern up and down as we look over the last 3 years.
Yeah. We have to realize that, and a lot of people don't realize that it is very seasonal. We are a seasonal market. So we have a spring market, we have a fall market. Those are the 2 big seasons that we always encounter. And that's basically all real estate agents can tell you that. And that's typically when houses are sold and when they're listed. It coincides very much with school years and stuff like that, where people are, I'm living out my life. I'm on vacation in the summer, so that it slides down again, and then it picks up again in the fall and drops off at the Christmas season and the winter season. So this is not unusual for our business, and that's quite typical. So what you saw there is quite typical. But moving on to the average sale price, what happens now is because of that high market in the upper range, look where our average sale prices went from one month to the next. So we, $677 back in February, and all the way up to $700,000 in March. The question now going forward will be, will we sustain that type of market? Will we sustain that type of price? And if my guess is that we probably won't quite sustain it. It might be a slight correction to that number. Why? Because we've got a lot more listings. And so as I have more to choose from, the whole market kind of slows, because now when I could only look at 3 or 4 houses, I'm going to look at 5 or 10. And if I'm going to look at 5 or 10, that's going to slow the market down. So we have to look at what will happen with the fact that I've got more to pick from. And that always happens almost every year, that we'll reach this peak early in the year. And then basically that peak will plateau or possibly drop ever so slightly going forward. And with the other things that come to bear, like interest rates right now, expect that to probably to correct somewhat. I'm not going to predict where it's going to go, but it certainly will. I think we've hit the apex right there on the average, and we'll likely see it diminish over the next ensuing months.
Okay. The sales to price list ratios too is something that we wanted to showcase, because this has got some very interesting data here to unpack as well, Frank.
Yeah, and expect this. This is another one we say we have to understand that the pricing strategy comes into play with it. When we see it's selling for 130, 133% over the list price, we also have to know that we're listing it for under its market. We've always been doing that for the last 3-4 years. So I'm not fond of the graph, because it doesn't really show, it's not really indicative of it's really more of indicative of a pricing strategy. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to show that, because what's going to happen now is more and more houses will not have the strategy of getting, multiple offers within 3, 4, 5 days or 7 days out. Very often we're going to have much more of a market price. And what you're going to see is that the listing strategies will change, where you're going to offer properties at its market value. And so this graph will automatically switch out, and you'll be much closer to the list to sales price ratios. And if you look at the very bottom of the graph leading up into the jump into 2021,
Hmm.
You can see where the strategies were started to be applied, and look at the difference there. Will we get to the 105 over list or the 110% over list? Probably that's where we're going to go back to. So that look for that to change over the ensuing months.
And this is something we kind of touched base last market update too, in terms of where we're going in terms of condos, and this is something that I know that we've been talking about. There's been a lot of development happening around the Windsor Essex area to see those condominiums pop up all over
Yeah,
the place, and
yeah,
in LaSalle and in Tecumseh and Lakeshore as well. This continues to be somewhat of an upward trend, Frank.
yeah. It's because it's becoming more of a popular choice. So you're getting a lot of buyers going to a condo, whether it's a retirement situation or even a first time buyer situation. So you see the popularity just in the first 3 months. You can see it, the growth rate in the condo market on the average price. April's not done yet, so that's an incomplete category there. But the first 3 months, look at the change. The average is well over 400 now for a condo, and this is an interesting facet that we have to keep in mind, because we're going to see an awful lot more of these being built in the future, and it's going to be a reasonable choice for particularly for first time buyers and also for retirees. I want to say, however, that many more retirees are staying in their houses longer and living in their houses longer and not going to the condo apartment as much. So this is really more a first-time buyer choice that we're seeing here. But it's important that we also recognize the condo market, because it's really growing in terms of the number of sales of condos in our market. And the building is particularly impressive when you look at how many condo buildings are being erected, not only in Windsor, but also all over the county. A lot of these things are going up all over the place, and we have to take note of it. I think it's really important for us to also look at that type of graph going forward. So, but that's the bottom line is, what does the whole thing come down to in terms of our list of sales processes? All of this abundance of listings and just really the abundance of listings, basically the product, the fact we've got the supply, it's tumbled our list of sales ratio. Okay, last month we had a list to sales ratio of 81%. It's dropped down for this month to 66% and averaging still in the 70s. So it's still a seller's market, don't get me wrong, but look at the big tumble that occurred because of the amount of listings that you had. So these are the things that do affect our market, and we've got to take notice of them, and our sellers particularly must take notice of them, because if the position of the seller starts to weaken and we have more buyers backing off of sales these days because of interest rates, it will affect our market over time. Will there be a substantial price decrease right away? No, because I don't believe in our particular market that we were in that much inflationary. Certainly somewhat, but if you go to markets like Toronto, where it's hugely inflationary, they have substantial tumbles in times like this. And so what we've already seen in our particular market is Toronto people can't expect that their house is going to sell in a day or two. So we've got less people looking. We have less people investing in here because the cost of investing has gone up. Same price, but the cost of it has gone up. So they're removing themselves from the market. And we've already started to see that. So the effect of the Toronto buyer in the market here is less today than it was 2 months ago. Absolutely.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about too, and thank you for unpacking the data from last month too. I mean, that's some great insight on what's ahead and what we've experienced over the last 30 days. But
Mhm.
obviously, some good news for Windsor Essex area. I mean, you and I have talked about how rooted we both are here in the region.
Yeah.
I don't remember a transformative announcement such as the battery plant being so impactful. I think when that was announced earlier last month. Your thoughts on that plant and
Yeah.
all the spin-off jobs that are going to create for the region?
I mean, it's terrific. I mean, you were talking about a huge employment there, up to 2,500 people. But the spin-offs is really the thing. And the key for us to remember is we've always had a high tech. When I talk about high tech, I'm talking about automotive high tech. It's tool shops and technology in that quarter. But these we haven't had robotics and stuff like that. And that's what this type of thing brings us. You're talking about a whole new field of technology plants that need to be circling this plant, so to speak, to bring this all to the fore, and that's probably 10,000 jobs. So by the time it's all said and done, it bodes very well. I mean, these are good jobs. They're well paid jobs, and it speaks to also, one thing that we don't talk about, it also increases the flexibility of the Stellantis plant that's already here. It's a flex plant. So you're going to see, as they just started, with new models coming out that are strictly E models, right? So you're going to see a lot of that coming up. Now, let's understand, it's not going to have an immediate effect on our business because this is 2025. So it's still a little ways away.
Sure.
But what's important is that these other feeder plants to that, they've got to be up and running, ready to go in 2024. So what you're going to see is a lot more of that, a lot more announcements. You saw the Magna announcement in Chatham. You're going to see more and more of that type of stuff coming to the fore right now to be the feeder plants for this particular plant that's going to be built in Windsor. And hooray for Windsor for being able to get that. I applaud them in their efforts to try to pull that together. It's fabulous that they have it. Fortunately, we have that kind of land mass that we could pull all that together, have the infrastructure to bring them on board, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, that's a great thing. It's tantamount to a new hospital being built, and so on and so forth. So, it's very good for our area. It's a change, a bit of a change, a substantial change from us being just an automotive to be a supplier, being a supplier of automotive. But I would suggest that this supplier is not just a Stellantis; it's probably a number of different plants that's going to be in the Ontario market, right? So it's great. These are all great things for us. Jobs bring people. People buy houses. What else do we have to say about it? Other than that, it bodes well.
Well, thank you for spending some time with me yet again today. I appreciate it, and I know our viewers appreciate it too. Quick plug: I know the golf tournament for Roy LePage is
June
in
the
full
16th.
swing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pun intended, for
Yeah.
Hiatus House, another great organization. All that information's on the website too to sign up for sponsorship or to golf in that. And I know it just came out today on our social media feeds too. I know Roy LePage Binder is sponsoring Windsor Light Music Theater and their latest production, which is long overdue, back in downtown Windsor, Cinderella. So that's great to see as well. Frank,
Hey.
thank you so much for spending some time with us.
No, absolutely. Glad to have some in-person things happening. It's great to see. All right.
Finally, right? Absolutely.
Take care.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah. Bye now.
Take care. Frank Binder, our broker and our owner of Roy LePage Binder Real Estate. Great guy, and some great insight on what's happening with the Windsor Essex County market. So yeah, lots of things happening from local events that are getting ramped up yet again in Windsor Essex. Windsor Light Music Theater launching their in-person big event. They always do a great yearly production, so that'll be happening. So that information's on our Facebook page, and you can also find out a little bit more about what's cooking in regards to the Windsor Essex County real estate market. Check out royallepagebinder.com for full details. So we appreciate Frank's time. Don't forget to like us on social media. Take a look at all of our market updates and real estate information on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month here on Roy LePage Binder Live. And spend some time with us on social media, or give us a call too at any one of our 5 locations right across Windsor Essex.